Generic greetings and welcome to Lawn Mowing Simulator. Today's beverage is a very nice cup of liquid, very tasty indeed. So Lawn Mowing Simulator is, sorry, it's a orange juice with added pulp. I wasn't going to say anything, but I know people would desperately want to know and eviscerate me in the comments. But either way, welcome to Lawn Mowing Simulator. This is a game about... well, about cutting the grass. I don't really know what to tell you. The clue's sort of in the title there. It's something I've been playing for about a couple of hours now, so still a first impressions only, but I've got the moment-to-moment down enough to show you what the game is like. So I'm just going to do that. I've skipped past all of the business side of it, and there is a management side of it, and buying and things like that we'll check out on the latter part of the video, but this is just the sort of start of a mission. I've selected a mission. I can't even remember what it's called. Is there a way I can check? It is... no. Anyway, it's a nice mission in the English countryside, and we have a couple of things to do. Firstly, we need to have a look around the property and see if there's anything that we have to pick up. We have a 5-minute time limit in order to pick up certain items on the ground that may hinder our cutting progress, and then we have 35... is that 35? Cutting time limit is 35.30 minutes. We have 35.5 minutes to cut this entire thing. I don't know why there is a time limit. It seems a bit strange to have one. It seems a bit unnecessary, but that's what the deal is. So either way, we are going to jump in, so I will confirm that, and we can see we have our mower here. I'm currently using mouse and keyboard to wander around, but once I get into the actual driving, I'll be switching over to a pad. I'm currently using a 360 pads. Other controlling devices are available. There also is official support for certain I was going to say joysticks, but I meant wheels and pedals. So either way, I'm just going to run around. You can see it says the ground object check. We have to pick up 5 objects in total, and we have 5 minutes to do so. I'm also surveying the ground, so we can see there's a couple of trees in here. This looks to be just a place for a horse. It's like a little stable there, and then we've got like a, well, what appears to be a rundown tractor. I assume it's rundown since there are flowers growing out of it. Well, actually not really flowers, but certain grasses. And I'm surveying the area to see what obstacles we have. So obviously things like these trees, that's like it's like a hay storage thing for the horses, and then we've also got the water trough here. So I've picked up a total of 4 items out of the 5. I'm just trying to find the rest of them, and there we go, that's the last one there. So, ground check is complete, and we've done that with 3 minutes 48 to spare. We now have to jump onto this mower. Now, there's many different types of mowers. This one, when you start your company, you make your, well, one of the characters, and then you select a mower, and I think a lot of, if not all of the mowers are licensed ones as well. So, in terms of simulation, this is more towards the Euro Truck Simulator level of simulation rather than, say, Power Wash Simulator. It's more towards, like, say, that side of the spectrum. But yeah, so this is the one that we've got. I can fill it with fuel and change the blades. We shouldn't need to do any of that. This is a pickup mower, so it does have a receptacle on the back to pick up the clippings, and then the clippings we can then dump into these bags if we need to. There's also like a mulcher, and different cutters have like different positions and things, you know, so they've got different like throttle settings, RPM, etc, etc. But the main thing is that we need to just jump on this thing, so we'll press F to ride the vehicle, and I'm just going to switch over to pad because I find it easy to drive. We will start the engine, and I think they said we have about 35 minutes in order to cut this thing. So we can alter our throttle settings, which I will increase our throttle. We need to alter our cut height. It's currently set at 9 centimeters. The objective says we need to have a cut height ranging between 7 and 8 centimeters. So I'm going to put this down to 7 centimeters, and there we go, and then we will head out and have a look. So this is where we have started, and obviously there's many ways you can attempt to cut this grass. So I think some people would maybe perhaps work around the outside to cut in and then do up and down like stripings. Some people may want to just go at one side and then work up and down. Others may just want to go all the way around and work that way, and that's what we'll probably be doing. But yeah, let's just see what we can do. So I'm looking down here, and I'm going to turn on our cutter, and you can see that's now engaged, and I'm just going to start cutting around the edge of this thing, and already I've messed up by hitting the edge here, and I'm just going to cut around. Luckily this thing has already got a little bit of a gap towards the edge where we have this hedge here as well. And obviously we've also got like these big trees and in the way, and things like them hedges and leaves and such. But I'm just going to cut in and around, and if we stop here I can look back and see what I've cut, and it does accurately represent the cut height as well as where you've driven over, and also it represents where the cutter is, so it simulates that as well. So it's not just an arbitrary, good grief, I can't see a thing. It doesn't just cut as soon as we drive over it. In fact, if we drive over it without the cutter, you will get bits missing, so you will end up missing certain bits on this one, and that's the whole point in the game. Our cutter is under those little checkered panels on the left and right. I don't think I can get off the mower, but that's where it is, so that's what we have to focus on. You can also damage the ground as well as damage different flowers and other things that are in. I did a mission previously where it was a very sort of nice cottage garden, and I accidentally went over a flower bed, and it was not good. You do get penalties if you do that. So this one is not really on that level. This is hopefully a lot easier because it does have some obstacles. Like we've got different obstacles like the trees, and we've got the hedges, and we've got like harsh corners here that I may have to stop and then reverse into, but there's no flowers to run over, at least nothing that I can see. But the problem is if you get the cut wrong, I didn't get it wrong there, but you can see there's slight alterations in the height, but if you get the cut wrong, then you end up having to go back over. In order to complete this mission, we need to get 90, I think it's 99.5%. So we have to get almost every blade of grass. So, oh, I think I've just cut that a bit too sharp, and if I look back, I have not. Okay, I'm trying to show you what happens when you mess up, but so far that ain't happened. So that's actually not a bad thing. I have tried using this with the mouse and keyboard as well as the 360 pad that I'm using at the moment. I much prefer walking around with mouse and keyboard, but once we're driving, having an analog control is much better because it's just less twitchy. Although I do find the controls are just genuinely quite twitchy. Oh, see on the right hand side there, you may have noticed that the RPM went red. I know I haven't done a full rundown of the UI, but I think you get the point that basically you have to cut the grass, and there's nuances involved, but not a huge amount. So left hand side, we've got vehicle condition there. Oh, there you go, it's gone red on the right hand side. That is your engine stress, essentially. I'm overstressing that, and if you do that too much, then you start taking damage. On the left hand side is our vehicle condition, engine condition, and the blade condition. You also have to deal with the hopper, how full the hopper is. Good grief, why are we overstressing that? I think I'm just going a bit too quick. We also have to deal with the, like they say, the hopper and fuel as well. Hopper is shown on the right hand side. We've got like that little bin symbol, which it's currently getting towards a quarter. We also have our throttle setting, which is currently 2,400 RPM, and fuel, which is about 2/3 full, and then our cut height currently set to 7 centimeters, and we've also got the like the engine stress and such. So if I like absolutely belt this along, and because this is so high, we'll end up going into the red, and that will start to damage this thing. Also, I don't think it gives you a nicer cut, but there you are. I'm not really entirely sure if that last part is true, but there you are. And oh, there's a bit that we missed. See that? So I cut it a little bit too sharply, so I'll just go back to do that. And this bit is missing here, and the reason for that is because I went over it far too quick, so it ended up not cutting that bit. You can also damage the ground, as I've mentioned. So damaging the ground, if you try to circle too much, so if you try to do like a couple of donuts on this one, or mainly actually if you're trying to do oh, that's in the red there, let me go back a little bit. Yeah, if you're trying to do too sharp a turn too fast and you keep going, you will damage the ground, or you can damage the ground. Also, if the ground is quite undulating, then you have to be sort of worried about that as well. I'm just going to go straight here and then just sort of take off and then come back. So I don't know if this is the way to do it. I would have assumed what would happen is you would use a push mower, like a fly mower or anything else, to be able to pick this up and cut around the edge manually without driving, and do the same things with the trees, and then you would come back with your sit-on mower like this. There's many types of mowers available, as I mentioned. Some of them have like the cutter on the front, which is probably a lot easier to control, but obviously they'll have like different RPM settings and things like that. You can see that little bit there. I'm purposely stopping to get that to get that cut, because I don't want to miss it and have to come back and stress on exactly where stuff is, although you can hold a button when you're stationary in order to see what requires cutting. So there is that. I'm in the first person mode at the moment, but you can switch between basically a top-down view and then like third person. You can spin the camera around. The camera, I find, is troublesome at best. I don't know whether it's... Oh, you see that? I went into the red there, so I was going a bit too quick. So I'm just going to... This is what I'm saying about the analog control. Yeah, for some reason the camera seems to drift. Like, there you go, look. It's slowly drifting up, and I've not touched a thing. I assumed that was maybe joystick drift, because it is an old controller, but it seems to do that when I'm not... When the controller is not connected, so I don't know whether that's just a weird quirk of the game, or it's a bug, or whether it's intended based on where I'm turning, but either way, it is what it is. Just my experience, yours may vary. We are currently up to 18.3% cut with a 7-minute cut time here, and if we've got 35 minutes, I really need to speed up then, don't I? I see, I don't know why there's limits on the time it takes to cut it. I don't really like that. Now I have to slow down here, don't I, because this seems to be a bit more difficult, and I'm going to have to go around this water trough, so I'm going to cut around this side, and I'll worry about getting the last little bit when I come back. There we go, and let's just head round here. These corners are going to be getting sharper. Just like, oh yes, there we go. May have took that a little bit too sharp, and we'll just recut this. And there you go. There's for some reason the bit more, and go back over. Just try and cut this and that, then we'll go back again. If I switch to mouse and keyboard, obviously I've got, it's the binary combination of on or off, so full throttle or no throttle. So I would strongly recommend some sort of controller with an analog. Look at that, why is it drifting up? Haven't touched a thing, but then it stopped. How curious. This is a difficult one. If I alter the cut height, it might help me, because it does say it has to be cut between 7 and 8 centimetres. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong, but I don't really know. We're on 24% actually, so it's not too bad. I'm seeing these up ahead. I don't think these are classed as crops that I can't damage. Yeah, straight over, no problem. But you can see what we've cut on the right. You've still got this little sort of stubble of grass that's still around there. I'm actually going to go straight ahead on this bit to cut that. Yep. No, reverse back. Crash into the crash into the hedge there, which apparently is absolutely solid. Still went in the red. Let's just try and take this a little bit easier. It's when we're going up the hill we're having that problem. We are over halfway full on the hopper. And you can see there's a couple of little bits that I've missed, but I'm gonna try and not stress over them too much. I must confess, and this is my own fault, happily admit it, when I first saw the game I thought, oh, it's a silly little game about cutting the lawn, it's going to be a bit like Power Wash Simulator. And once I loaded in at least the first game, I thought, no, that's not part of the spectrum that this is on. This is more towards your more, I don't know about realistic, but certainly more serious type of simulators, which is fine. It's just my expectations were something else for no reason that I just didn't really look at the game too much. So I was like, okay, fair enough. Now I understand where it's going from. So it is about the fun I find is doing a job well, you know, and trying to get the neatest cut as possible. Oh, I overload the engine there, and we'll see that. Oh no, it actually didn't cause too much of an issue. Oh, you can see I've actually cut all of these weeds here. Just stuck on the other tractor there. There we go. Find that gear. There we go. Find it or grind it. Drive it like you stole it. Job done. And eventually we'll have to go for a then empty of this thing. There we go. And we're just going to back up. Strange that we've ended with a solid, I guess, a solid edge on there, like a straight edge. You can see that, yeah, it does take this. I think the grass is higher here. I think it takes a little bit longer to get that cut. But luckily, although it's got the miles an hour on the right and the sort of engine stress, it also has very nice audio cues, so I know when I'm overstressing it without having to look at that. So I think that's a very nice design. So yeah, you can hear it goes when it goes from the high to the low pitch. See, I'll accelerate. Yeah, you probably hear it there. I mean, if I just absolutely floor it, you can see the engine condition going down on the left. I mean, it's still cutting it. It seems to be still cutting it fine. And I may have to overstress the engine because I have a time limit. Obviously, that also means me having to then repair this thing. But we are taking, I've noticed now, tighter corners. The game, as far as I'm aware, does have, I think, well, at least one of the missions did say about cutting in the rain, so it may have a weather system. I don't know whether it has a day-night cycle. I can't imagine cutting in the dark to be a positive experience. Speaking of positive experiences, it's not a positive experience driving around this thing. So what I'm going to do is try to cut around it, and this is something that I've done in previous missions. Good grief, I'm also stuck on it. And obviously this is now going to be a slightly different look, but that's, well, it is what it is, isn't it? So, but I'm just going to try and cut around this thing because I'm having to really fight to get around it, and we're leaving loads of little bits, but you know, it is what it is. We may have to come back to get a bit more of that, but there we are. There's that now. Let's get back to cutting here. We're going to have a similar issue, I think, with this tree. Although, again, look at these trees. They've got patches of bare earth around them, so that's all right. Looking at our hopper, I think we'll be able to get another full cut. Another ring around. Just feathering the throttle here, making sure we're not in the red. And there is an immense set of satisfaction when you've got to get a really good cut. There we go. Oh, look at that. Someone messed up here, didn't they? We should correct the idiot's mistake. There we go. And then floor it. And we'll come in here. And there is some challenges to be had when it comes to the maps as well. So each map is different. It may have more undulating terrain, it may have more obstacles, it may be that there's like a lot of paths in the way. So if you have your cutter on, when you go over anything that ain't grass, it starts to damage that cutter. So there's a lot of thought in there. So you can't, well, you can if you want to, just floor it and cut everything possible. You will, however, be penalised for doing that. And there's a whole business management side that we haven't even looked at yet, which we'll get on towards the latter part of the video. This is where I'm going to have some problems here. I'm going to take a left, and I'm going to come back for the bit that's remaining. Fuel are on half full. Oh, that was a little bit jarring. Let's actually come back for that section that I've just missed. There we go. I'm very tempted to show you what happens when you just do a full circle. See if I can get around this tree. No, I can't. I don't have the turning circle, sadly, to show you that. But if I did a full, like a donut, essentially, we would get damage on the ground. Let's just switch over to this mode. I find this mode can be quite useful, although first person is so far my preferred way of cutting things. Just reversing through that. I don't know if you have to cut forwards. I guess technically if you didn't cut forward, what would happen is... Well, if you didn't cut forward, you would leave the... You would leave the clippings, because it's cutting them and then collecting them. Anyway, we need to empty our hopper. So we are going to just back up to this. And hold A. Hopper opens up. And there you go. Job done. Back to our first person view. Which for some reason is panning up for no reason. Right. Still doing it. There we are. I like to see a little bit of the front of the cab so I can see where I'm lined up into. And here we are. Why is the fuel flashing red? I mean, it's only halfway. Can't imagine that being a problem. We're on 49%. But I only have recommended finish time is 35 minutes. Okay. We're probably going to run over that. I think it's certainly possible. It's just obviously commentating on what we're doing, etc. Does add a little bit of added pressure and time. And we haven't even come to that tree just to our left there in front, which potentially is going to be even more difficult because it's up like this little hill. There's me stressing the engine a bit. I think at this stage my level of caring is at critical, and I might just I might just floor it. See if I can cut around this tree just to... That's not cutting around the tree. And that's me not altering the camera again. What I'm going to do is cut around here. Just so I don't have to deal with having to navigate around that tree. There we go. Sadly, we're not going to get our perfect little stripes and such. But I think that ship is well and truly sailed anyway. So, there you are. And here we go. Let's floor it. Got overloading the engine. Yes, but I'm getting the cut. Getting the cut done fast. And this is where this is a problem as well. What I'm going to do is cut round to the left like that, and I'll come back for that other bit. See, we've left a little bit there, which is very strange. But the other modes you can get, I've noticed one of them has a... It has a cutter on the front, so it's very easy to see where you've been cutting, or where you are cutting, because you can literally see the blade there. Oh, look at that! So I think this is where we were overstressing the engine. So it simply hasn't cut it, or at least not cut all of it. So you actually have to, you know, there's no point in just flooring it then. I wonder if the blade condition also affects how much you cut. It's possible. So when we go up here, there'll be more... Oh yeah. You have to take that a bit more cautiously. Cut that a little bit. That's a lot easier to cut now that, well, we've already sort of half chopped it anyway. We're on 61%. This is where I Just thinking about Farming Simulator, which I have got a lot of time on. I used to do the fields, and it was just a case of going up and down the fields day and night. That was a very satisfying game. Never did a video on it though. Used to play it co-op with a couple of friends. So I'm just looking at the obstacles. This is one here. But I'm thinking the main obstacles are going to be the wee stable in the middle, and also that like hay rack thing, whatever it is. Just gonna cut that and pull back right here. Just try and take that a bit better. Oh yeah, that's far too much. Trying to back up to make sure that we haven't undercut that. Fuel is coming down towards 1/3 full. I think I took that too sharply. Yeah, I thought I did. Because we have to remember that the cutter is right underneath our feet. It's not at the front or the back. This is where we need a strimmer to go around for all these little bits. Or weed whacker, as I think they're also known. Let's just cut that and go the other way. Let's take that out. Take that little bit out. And let's be a maverick. Let's go the other way. And take this bit out. And we're going to head the other way, because we can. I don't think it'll affect the look of it. I can't imagine it affect the look of the cut, but we'll see. I'm feeling that was too sharp. Yeah, a bit missing, but we can come back. Oh, it's like a whole different map now we're working from the other side. Not really. We have just under 10 minutes to finish this off, and we're on 70%. I'm hoping for good things then. I don't know what happens if we go over that. I assume just penalties. Bit of bare earth that's there, I don't know why. Bits of grass that haven't been cut here. Damn it. On the tree. Even with analog, the controls can be extremely twitchy. We're going to have to slow down here. One thing that should be acknowledged is that a lot of these games, I find, can be very empty. So we're currently cutting in what I think is a quite a nice bit of scenery, but there's life. There's some swifts flying around there. Hot air balloon. We can hear cars going past. In fact, on one of the more urban streets that I was doing some grass cutting, there were people wandering by. So, you know, it doesn't feel like a lifeless void that we're doing this in. There's lots of like cars going past. You can hear those as well. So there's a lot of extra bits going on that give it a little bit more flavour that I appreciate. Looks like we cut that a little bit too sharp there. I use the word cut as in turn rather than cutting with a mower. I assume you understand. And obviously there's these trees here which we'll have to traverse. And then we'll do that. Do that one as well. Ah, there you go, penalty. You damage the ground, fine incurred. So because I turned too sharply, see ahead of us, that brown little mark, we've, yeah, we have damaged the land. Wasn't my intent, but it's what's happened. Um, 79%. Is it possible I will get this done within the allotted time? I'm not feeling too confident, I'll be honest, and overloading the engine when we're going there is not going to help either. Go around this tree here. Slow right down because we know it's quite thick, this grass here. And if there's any professional gardeners or landscapers out there, my apologies. I wonder if any physical research has been done by the dev team. AKA they just went to Digger World or other agricultural place and just spent some time driving around on sit-on mowers. Yeah, look at that bit there, the little bits that we've missed because of that engine stress. It seems to be over here when we're going uphill basically, and the grass is quite thick. Although because of that, when we do bits like here, we get a very high percentage of cut on. We haven't got long, but we might do it. I should point out it doesn't automatically go, yep, you've done that, you've done your 99.5%, and then get rid of the rest of the grass. It doesn't do that, it just leaves it where it is, which, yeah, troubled me sore, because I really wanted to go back and finish it, but I may not have the time. If you stop and hold, I don't know what the button is for the controller, but if you hold Control on the keyboard, you get that there, which is like the experienced grass cutter mode, and you can see what is needed to be cut. This bit around here, very difficult to cut. We have about 5 minutes to finish this off. Are we going to do it? I'm not confident. But it doesn't matter. It's about getting it done. Problem is that if there was no obstacles, I would say it is possible, but we've got obstacles. Case in point, that thing. So, I don't know if it's best to cut around it. Drain pipe in the way. And do that, just go straight ahead and cut round it that way. It's possible. I don't know what level of difficulty this mission was actually. It is a 3.5 stars, as shown on the left hand side. We get RP, which is reputation points, of 135, I think that was. But we do get a good payout. So, if nothing else, the money should be good. What I'm doing, I'm just, see me just flicking like that, because I don't want to continue doing that full circle, because it will then damage the ground. Less than 10% to go. It would be lovely just to floor it and get it done. But that's not how it works. I'm looking forward to actually getting a new mower. You can buy lots of different mowers, as I mentioned. Just noticed they've got a nice little thatch cottage here as well. %92.8%, but we have not all the time in the world, sadly, to cut it. I noticed you had like blade of grass in the way. Let's go around here. I like the detail though, in like see the ground there, where the horse would be coming in and out of the. Is that technically classed as a stable? I don't know if it is or not. Is there another term for like just a small thing like that? We're going to call it a stable for lack of any other information. But yeah, like all the grass is sort of like worn there. So naturally it'll see lots of traffic. Okay, I think we can give up on the time trial thing. We're on 94.8%, and there's the damage to the ground there I'm just trying to avoid. But I think we will head back to empty our hopper, because it is pretty much full. We'll have to reverse in. There's two like bags here. And oh, very nice. Very nice. And we'll empty that. And we'll continue on. But when you compare it to what we started with, there is a noticeable amount of grass missing. Oh, also, my blade condition would have went down considerably there. I didn't turn the blade off when I was in the yard there, so that would have damaged the blade. You can see where I've changed my my way of cutting. So we went basically around and then changed to just sack it, just do the straight up just striping bit here. I'll floor it up and over to get that. Oh, a little red post box there. Nice. So it does simulate, as I mentioned, the cut height and direction and such. And I'm guessing quality, if you really just fly over it really quickly or have a careless way of doing it, then who knew? It's not going to work out for you. I still don't think we've done bad, even though we're not going to get that ideal time. We're on 97%. So let's just cut this little bit here. And we've got a little bit more to finish. Then we'll be done. This is a cottage in the middle of nowhere. One of the missions that I did was in the town. So it was very very like an urban setup. And there was another one as well. It was like a was it the paddock? I think this might be the paddock. And dung. Oh, now they get the ideal time for this. Maybe I need a better mower. Maybe because of the limitations of the mower that we possess. Maybe it was just too much for this mower. There's our 56 mark. And we're almost out of fuel. 99.1%. A couple more lengths here, essentially. And that's us done. Cutting complete, it says. Return the vehicle to the trailer to complete the contract. Well, it does say that, but I think it would be rude of us not to just finish at least this little bit off. Yes, there's little bits in that corner over there. You can see the damage we've caused as well. Over on the right-hand side, I think there's a couple of bits as well. But, no, that's, I think, understandable. Having a strip right in the middle that we haven't cut is not something that I want to... not something I want to sort of show the customer. So let's get back and see what this has to offer. I will turn off the cutter and reverse ourselves in to our trailer here, and there we go. There is Paddock, Old Nook Cottage, that is. And let's see what we got off that in terms of money, etc. Excuse me while I have a lot of beverage. There's the 3 types of cutters you can get there. At least 3 different ones. We've got the one on the right. One in the middle looks pretty good because it's got a cutter at the front. And then one on the far left, that seems to have those handles where you can it's so that you can spin that around on the back. So they're all different types of controls. The one on the left is probably the most maneuverable. When you get your options for buying vehicles, you can try it out. Okay, so here we are. This is Paddock, Old Nook Cottage. Value is 670 generic units of currency. RP, which is your reputation points, 135. This is Cutter McField, by the way. That's our character. And we can see there's been a lot of fuel used. Blades have suffered a little bit of damage, as has the engine. We have ground check time bonus of 6.86 or £6.86. Ground check earnings is 20, so we've earned some money on that one. We have penalties a total of £7.78. Collisions is £7.73, to be fair. I did almost crash into his car. And ground damage is 15 pence. So, yeah. It doesn't say cutting time bonus, so we didn't get a cutting time bonus. I don't know what that may have been, but we have gained more money. So we have 1,253.94 generic units of currency, and our reputation has also gone up. We've unlocked different challenges. This is the career mode, by the way, but there are challenge modes as well. So this is our mower. We can go to our... Actually, let's go over to... Where would it be? Our edit company, edit player. Yes, you can edit your player and change like their appearance and such. I'm not going to show you that there. We want to have... Well, there's upgrades, but we're currently upgrading. You got advertisements to gain reputation points. I'm probably going to do a social media ad and accept that to try and get our reputation up. We've got our company, no. These are the missions that we can do. So you've got the Jefferson Garden there, and you can see we've got Saucy Gardens, which is on 60 Colville Street, and then the Davis Garden. So they'll have different complexities and also like different RP values and money, and also they're in different places. So you know, this is right in the center of town, so you can expect it to be like a more urban setting. So there you are. Over to our vehicles, and we can see this vehicle here. We're going to have a quick look at that, and we're going to go to maintenance. We will do a vehicle repair, full repair, engine repair, full repair. Same for the blades, and also fill the fuel tank, and also empty the grass collector. So we've got that fully repaired. I can also get loans if I wanted to, but I don't think I need to. Can I buy another vehicle? I can't. I think I need to upgrade before I do that. So we've got this here. This is what we've started with, and then you can get the OFS1, which costs 2,650. I think that was the other option that I had. This is a mulcher, I believe. It is yes, a deck type of mulcher, so it will spit out it'll mulch the clippings and spit them out the back. Whereas this one is a rear-wheel drive, and it is a collector type. Deck size is bigger, and the fuel capacity is bigger. The miles per hour is slower on that one though. So yeah, you've also got yeah, slightly different ones here, and they're getting more expensive. There's a lot of detail in that. there is a lot of detail in that lawnmower. I'm surprised just how detailed the models are. Let's just do what we need to do. Go right to the end and... Oh! 38 grand. Wow. Rear discharge. Deck type. 152 centimeter cut. That's a mulcher. No, that's a collector type apparently. This will be a mulcher. No, rear discharge. Look at that. Side discharge. That's big. Oh, available attachments is a mulch plate. That's a recycler kit. So you've got different upgrades you can put on them. So yeah, that's a little bit of Lawn Mowing Simulator. When I first went into the game, as I said, I thought, oh, it's a bit like, you know, it's going to be a bit like Power Wash Simulator, and I had no reason to think that other than I was just, it might be like that. And then trying it went, nope, it's definitely towards the more serious end of the spectrum. I have played about 6, I think. I've done about 6 cuts, and I have not found it a relaxing experience, but I found it a satisfying experience. Seeing in the map, going around, collecting things, working out the way you're going to cut, and then actively doing that and doing a job well is quite satisfying. That being said, I do find the controls are quite twitchy, and also the camera for some reason just randomly wanders for me. That could all be down to my controls. I've tried, like say, gamepad as well as keyboard and mouse. I've had more success with the pad, but at the same time, there's still things that I've had which are, I think, of note. However, I do like the management side of it, and I very much appreciate also the detail that's gone into the world. Like I mentioned earlier about, like, a lot of these games tend to be quite dry and quite barren, where you've got people wandering around, cars driving by, you've got nice noises. Like when I was cutting in, I think it was a farm on the bottom right, or was it a farm somewhere on the map, you could hear there was cows mooing in the distance and different like farm sounds. So there's been a lot of detail put in to make it not a phone-in simulator, which I appreciate. Either way, I do plan on playing a little bit more. How much it will hold my attention, I'm not currently sure. I'm more interested in maybe upgrading my company than actually the going on to cut more complex areas, because I find that complexity may also equal annoyance, depending on the map. Like that one there looks okay. It seems to be a couple of trees and a big pond in the middle, whereas, for example, that one, there's lots of flower beds that you can happily shred and get fined for. But yeah, actually those, it's pretty much the same. That's the Davis Garden and the Jefferson Garden. They are very similar. They have, that one's got a gnome and a fountain. That one has got an @ symbol. So we got we got someone who apparently is, yeah, apparently someone is maybe made some money on the web. But they've got the same all these got the same complexity. But it is what it is. I have enjoyed my time with it, and I do plan on putting a bit more time into it. Either way, if you like what you see, then by all means check the link out in the description. If you would like to see more, then by all means let me know as well. I'm not saying that this can't be a relaxing game, but I found it to be more of, like say, a focused simulator than just like a daft mess around where you can cut the grass. And I think if you play it like as a daft mess around, you're not going to get that much out of it. That being said, you know, your money, your game. You do what you want with it. Either way, I hope you have enjoyed this look at a Lawn Mowing Simulator. Links are in the description, as I said earlier. As always, if you want to see more, let me know in the comments, and any suggestions for different ways of doing things, whether you would have cut around the obstacles first to make it easier, whether you would, instead of going around like we did and spiral in, whether you would just work up and down after cutting the edges. Would like to know what you would like to do and if there's any better ways of doing it. Either way, I hope you have enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching. Take care, and generic partings.